Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we are going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic James, who is going to be making a comeback in the Mythic era as an advanced token wheel recruit. He will be coming out this coming weekend, so stay tuned for more information on that release. But visually we have had a James in the game before. He was one of the gold brick characters, the initial release gold brick characters back in the day, and there was a choice between him and Krista, and he was actually a pretty interesting character, lots of AoE and stuff like that. This time around he looks like he's going to be a bit more of a defensive fighter, especially considering his specialist skill is Outlast. Now he still has the stop sign, but this time it has turned into a shield. I kind of like this idea, and then he's got like a little dagger between his fingers. And yeah, like kind of just looks really cool. I like the visuals a lot. He's got a hat on his back, and yeah, the shield idea is really cool. If you look on the left-hand side, you can see it in brutal action. Apparently, the shield isn't just a like defensive thing. It can be an offensive thing as well. It's got a bit of a jagged edge there, as you can see. Now, if we look at the stats at Limit Break 3, level 1,440, he has got 12,288 attack, 35,110 defense, and 40,376 HP. He's going to be at the strong trait. He's going to be at the tank role, Gold Mythic of course, and he's going to be joining the Road to Survival Allegiance. Now the first thing we're going to be looking at on James is going to be his adrenaline rush, and it is called Stop Dead. It has got a recharge rate of 55 AP, give one enemy 250% infection for 2 turns, and revive one teammate with 100% of their max HP, but there is going to be +1 infection target and revive target if the fighter has less than 25% of their max HP. This fighter and one other teammate get 25% halo for 1 turn. So if you understand how it works with the specialist skill, basically as long as he is above 25% HP, it will do infection and revive to just one teammate. But if he is below 25% HP, and this includes being in the Outlast state, it'll infect 2 people and revive 2 people. So generally speaking, he's going to get into the Outlast state reasonably often. Obviously, when you take him out, he goes into Outlast, so on and so forth. He will then give himself Halo, and this is problematic because a lot of the time what can happen with Halo when it comes to passive Halo, you can actually like cleanse this off of characters sometimes. Because he's applying it to himself on his own turn, you can't cleanse it. It's kind of like Easter Jesus, where he can apply Halo to himself every single turn, even when he's in Outlast. It can be a bit more problematic. You have to make sure you've controlled this guy in some way, or you're going to be in a lot of trouble for sure. But this is kind of a nice combo. It gets a boost when he's below 25% HP, and like I said, with Outlast, that is going to happen every single time. Okay, so here we are on an attack team, and we have done some attacks, we have taken down some enemies, and now James has got his adrenaline rush available. You can see he's over 25% of his max HP, so when he does this, he should only infect one enemy and revive one enemy, but he'll still give himself Halo and also a teammate Halo. So if I hit the defend action on Tyrese, you can see the revive comes in, the character that got picked up got the Halo, he's got Halo, and we're, basically that's how it's going to work. If I went to take this character out again, which I can do reasonably easily, they will be picked up automatically the next turn because they have that Halo. It's pretty much as simple as that. However, this time around they'll have 25% of their max HP rather than being pretty much 100% of their max HP. This time around, same scenario, however, he is now in Outlast. This means he has got lower than 25% of his max HP. I will hit the defend action. This time he'll pick up 2 teammates. He'll get the Halo, and then he'll pick himself up at the beginning of his next turn with the Halo. So if I hit all the defend actions, he should come back. You can see one of the 2 teammates that also got revived got Halo. They're both with 100% HP. And then the next turn, he's going to come back, and that's pretty much how it's going to work. You see some potentially other things happening when he does come back, and we'll check that out in just a second. But on the upgrades on the Adrenaline Rush, you can see at grade 3, he gets an upgrade where this fighter and one other teammate get 25% Halo for 1 turn. So initially it isn't doing any halo, but that's going to come in nice and early. A grade 5, 2 copies, it's going to be an upgrade where it's going to be +1 infection and revive target if this fighter has less than 25% of their max HP. So initially it's going to be 1 infection, 1 revive, but the 25% kind of gating for the extra of each will come in. At grade 5 is quite easy. Then at limit break 2, it gets 150% infection boost, going from 100% infection up to 250% infection. Now, I don't necessarily see this as being that important when it comes to him being used. Let's say if you want, maybe he's got some niche usage on attack teams, but on defense you just need stats. So obviously the more grades he's got, the better. But you could potentially cheese him on defense teams because of how his kit works, because he's an Outlast. It doesn't necessarily matter if he dies, but you know, you have to kind of just try and work it out. Like, he could be viable at grade 5 based on where his passives land, based on where the upgrades on his signature move is. But for his Adrenaline Rush, I would say grade 5 is like kind of minimum for actual usability. But if you want to get the best out of him on defense, obviously, just for stats, more grades is better. So yeah, the Adrenaline Rush is actually quite nice. It's going to happen reasonably regularly on his kit just because he is an Outlast character, and Outlast characters are some of the few defensive characters where you can guarantee the Adrenaline Rush is going to happen or occur on a more regular basis, whereas other defense team characters can sometimes get hard nuked quite easily, and their signature moves and passives are more important. It isn't going to be as much the case with James, where his Adrenaline Rush does need to be good because he's an Outlast, and it is actually pretty good too. The revives are 100% HP, I think, is going to be kind of underrated. When you've got characters on defense teams now with over 100k HP, that means they're just going to be just straight up, just full tanked out instantly, rather than they're like some other revives having like 40% or 60%. You don't really think about it that much, but it is brutal when a character's fully HP'd after a revive. But yeah, like I say, I like this rush. It's nice that it's decent because of the fact that he is an Outlast character. You're not going to be disappointed if this goes off for sure. And 250% infection is extremely hard to recover from. Now, you might have seen this happen just at the end of the last clip, and it is going to be the signature move of James. It is called Remove the Threat. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. Remove all positive status effects from a line of enemies. While on the defense team, this line of teammates recover from all negative effects. This fighter and one teammate get 100% decap resistance for 2 turns. 3 teammates get Guardian Shield. This is a massive, massive signature move, honestly. The cleanse enemies is big because it will remove things like focus or heal over time or anything like that. Anything that even resists, it's a full cleanse, not like 1, 2, 3. It's everything that's positive, including attack buffs as well. And then while on the defense team, he pretty much does the opposite, where he does a full cleanse of bad stuff on himself and his teammates in the line, which again, like, you could put him in a line with a very important character that you do not want to get sort of like debilitated anyway. Maybe in line with another Outlast to potentially cleanse, like normalize on them and potentially himself when this goes off. Very nice indeed. Then he gets decap resistance for 2 turns, and that's obviously going to help him when he goes into Outlast, guarantee his comeback. And then another teammate's going to get that as well. Then lots of Guardian Shields are going to go out. And like you saw, if he's taken out early in the fight and he does self-revive, he'll just do this instantly when he gets picked up. All of this stuff will happen all at the same time, and that's, like I say, pretty brutal. If you team him up with another Outlast, I think you could probably see like James and let's say Mighty Hunter Zachary on the same team, kind of cheesing the revive procs and decap resistances, cleanses, so on and so forth. It could be actually pretty good, because what will happen with this signature move too is if a character is actually in Outlast already, behind him or in front of him in the same line, he can cleanse them while they are in Outlast as well. This is something to note, which is actually quite important and just kind of interesting. The only thing he can't cleanse, I think, is decap if it's occurred by a specialist skill, but he can potentially block that with the decap resistance if it happens, even though the resistance comes in first. So, like I say, quite a nice signature move. Let's check out how it works. Pretty obvious, but let's check it out. Okay, so here we have the signature move ready on James. You can see he has got Impair on him, so has his teammate in front of him, who is in Outlast. If I hit the defend action on these characters, what should happen is He should cleanse himself and the character in Outlast, then they should be able to Adrenaline Rush, and then obviously Zachary will be able to give himself Halo, and then he'll give Guardian Shields to other teammates. I don't think he gives the Guardian Shields to himself. Here comes the cleanse. As you can see, then Zachary can rush. He'll take out the enemies, and obviously he'll come back because of his Halo coming out from his kit. That's how it can work. The character doesn't have to be in Outlast for him to cleanse them. It just can happen, and that's just a little bonus. Now going straight into the upgrades on the signature move as well, you can see at grade 2 it gets +1 to decat resistance target, and initially I guess it is just going to be just for himself rather than another teammate. Then at grade 4 it gets an upgrade while on the defense team. This line of teammates recovers from all negative effects. This again is only 1 grade, so it's not too hard to come by. And then at limit break 1 it gets +2 Guardian Shield target. So initially it only gives out 1 Guardian Shield, but then it can give out up to 3. Now he can't give a Guardian Shield to himself because it's always going to be 3 other teammates getting a Guardian Shield. This is just something to note. In that clip there you only saw 1 Guardian Shield, and this is because you can't give a Guardian Shield to someone in Outlast. Limit break 3 it gets the old school standard -1 to starting cooldown, where it'll go from a 2-turn starting cooldown down to a 1-turn starting cooldown. I'd say this is reasonably important. I wouldn't necessarily say this is amazingly important, but it is quite important if you want to get like a little bit of a head start on a defense team. Generally speaking, LB3 is a good target. Turn 1 starting cooldown just means you can get the ball rolling on all of your characters as soon as possible. This is giving decat resistance to multiple characters, cleansing people too, so if they get controlled off of turn 1, very nice. For instance, if another character who is an Outlast gets taken out, you will obviously cleanse them if they're in the same line as you that first turn. So it is quite important if you can try and get this to LB3 for a defense team. Now, is he usable on attack? I'm not so sure there, but very interesting when it comes to the signature move. Buff removal from enemies, cleansing teammates, decat resistance, Guardian Shields, lots going on. If this goes off, it's just a lot of things to deal with. And there are a couple of characters you can have in a team doing the same sort of thing, where they're just doing a lot of buffs, a lot of debuffs, a lot of cleanses, so on and so forth. And James could potentially fit into one of those teams. Now, before we get on to the passives, we're going to be doing a giveaway, of course, because James is an advanced token wheel character. We are going to be giving away 10,000 advanced tokens. If you want your chance to win, all you have to do is hit the like button on the video and leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about James as a character. Tell me what you like about his kit. Do you want to see other characters come back that we've seen maybe only once or twice in the past? Anything you want to tell me down below when it comes to RTS, and you are entered into the giveaway. Best of luck if you enter. Now back to the video. Now, checking out the mythic abilities of James, these are his passive skills, of course. He is a tank, so he has strength, where he has 40% critical hit resistance. He also has one called No Alarm. At the start of each wave, all alert enemies get attack up block and -50% attack for 2 turns. This seems to potentially be a way to counter Danny, who is very prevalent on attack teams, and you could split up someone like Regina Lead and James onto 2 separate teams, and then Danny's got a little bit more problems against more teams on your roster. If we look at the next passive, it's called Tempered Mastery. At the start of each wave and turn, 100% chance to remove focus from 2 control role enemies and camouflage from 2 damage role enemies. So this could be quite problematic because the majority of damage dealers are of the damage role or the control role, so something is generally going to happen to someone who's going to be doing damage on your team. Focus isn't massively prevalent on attack unless you want it to be at the moment, and that isn't going to be as big a deal, but camouflage can potentially be a problem if you are utilizing it to deal with things like payback, so that is something to know. And this happens at the beginning of every wave and turn, so just be aware. Now, the last passive is a big one. Wary Wisdom. All teammates get 20% defense and all strong teammates get 20% HP. This is the biggest stat buff we've had in a character's kit when it comes to buffing teammates. It gives everyone 20% HP, not just a specific trait, but it also gives strong characters 28% HP. This is nuts. This means that a strong character in a team with James will get 20% defense and 20% HP from James, plus potentially percentage defense and percentage HP from their weapon, plus potentially percentage defense or percentage HP from the lead skill, or both if you are using someone like Regina who also gives both. So potentially monumental numbers on strong characters in the right setups. This is going to be absolutely brutal. Certain teams could get a little buff here. Denise teams did kind of like go out of the meta a little bit just because they were a bit easier to hit. Whereas James on that team means they're going to have massive stats, and it will also stack with other characters that do buffs as well. So if you use James and you use Circuit in the same team, all strong teammates are going to be so tanked out. So tanked out. It's actually going to be crazy. And we can test it out just now. So if we look at the stats of these characters on the screen, you can see the numbers are absolutely crazy, and none of these characters have upgraded weapons. It is worth noting that Circuit only has HP on her weapon. That is why her defense is obviously lower than everybody else's. If you put defense on her weapon, she'd obviously get way higher stats there. So we'll start the fight, and as you can see, we did just have a cleanse come in. We had Eva and Ghost and Laura both have the focus cleansed off of them. This is going to be specifically problematic for Eva and Ghost because she doesn't need like a leader like Negan to apply focus. She does it to herself, but you're going to have the focus getting removed by James. And one of the things that people used to do was cheese with Eva and Ghost and, you know, be able to attack behind shields. You won't be able to do that so much anymore. If we just get some camouflage up now, what you're going to see at the beginning of the next turn is basically you're going to be seeing some of this camouflage get removed. It should be removed from Negan, and it should be removed from Tyrese. I will just daze this guy just so he doesn't do anything too crazy. I'm going to do some Guardian Shield. Oh, sorry, I'm going to do some defense. This is so to stop him doing Guardian Shields and stuff. But you're going to see the camouflage get removed from those two attack roll characters, as you can see. And he also fully cleansed a line because of that signature move. And he did actually cleanse his own passive. How did he cleanse the daze that I just gave him? I guess he has something else on his kit that cleanses the daze. We'll have to wait and see. But that surprised me a little bit. But as you can see, lots of cleanses coming in from his passives, from his SIG as well. It's actually good to show that it's stacked and everything. So a lot of the positive effects have disappeared. So getting straight into the passives, we can see at grade 1, there's going to be the first half of No Alarm. At the start of each wave, all alert enemies get attack, up, block, and minus 20% attack for 2 turns. At grade 2, it gets the first half of Strength, 20% critical hit resistance. And then at grade 3, gets the second half of No Alarm. At the start of each wave, all alert enemies get attack, up, block, and minus 30% attack for 2 turns, stacking with No Alarm 1, making it 50% minus attack. You saw this happen to Laura in the last clip, and she was in a lot of trouble. If I used other alert characters, they would have been in a lot of trouble too. And if we move on to the other passives here, we can see at grade 4, the first half of Tempered Mastery comes in. At the start of each wave and turn, 50% chance to remove all focus from 2 control roll enemies and camouflage from 2 damage roll enemies. And then at grade 5, the first half of Wary Wisdom comes in. All teammates get 10% defense and all strong teammates get 10% HP. This is obviously the real big passive in my opinion. Big stats boosts are going to be brutal a lot of the time. And then at Limit Break 1, you're going to have Strength 2 come in where it's 20% critical hit resistance. At Limit Break 2, we're going to get the second half of Tempered Mastery where at the start of each wave and turn, a further 50% chance to remove focus from 2 control roll enemies and camouflage from 2 damage roll enemies, making 100% total. Then at Limit Break 3, the second half of Wary Wisdom comes in. All teammates get 10% defense and all strong teammates get 10% HP, making it 20% of each total. Very nice passives indeed for James, and it does seem like he primarily is going to be countering people like Ellen and maybe Tiffany in terms of what they can do with their focus and camouflage and attack buffs. For instance, if you were using a heavy alert team with Ellen, you're going to have attack down now. You're going to have, you know, those characters have their focus removed, which could be problematic. It might not even prop the attack buffs because of the way Ellen's kit works. That is going to be problematic as well. So yeah, I think these passes are very nice. I did say at the beginning, a lot of defense team characters are mainly about their passives and their SIG, but James has it all because he is an Outlast. he has to have a good rush as well, and everything comes together. I think he was a good character, but the second I saw that last passive with the massive stat boost, I was just like, okay, this guy is going to be very, very useful for quite a reasonable amount of time, just because, like I said, Circuit has had such good longevity, because she can boost her own stats, which makes her obviously just better. You know, I was actually having a conversation with someone recently about Nor still being actually usable, and the reason is because she had such big stats, because she had massive amount of HP from her passives. If you have characters that can boost their own stats or other people's, they just seem to have a bit better longevity than other defense team characters. So James is going to pretty much fit into that kind of slot. Now, we've seen it throughout the video, so I'm not going to touch on this too much, but you know how Outlast works. When this specialist is defeated, their death is delayed for 1 turn, during which they may still take an action, and they also receive 100% AP. When he does his adrenaline rush, he obviously gets a boost because he's under 25% HP. He'll revive 2 other teammates to 100%, give one of them the halo, he'll give himself halo, and then he'll come back. He'll be at 25% HP, but that doesn't matter. The Outlast is unlimited. He can go into Outlast non-stop every single turn. Absolutely no problem at all. And also, he can give himself decat resistance on that SIG. You have to just make sure he's protected off of turn 1 somehow. Be it with like a human shield or maybe bodyguards, that sort of thing. And he's good to team up potentially with a human shield, because he removes focus from certain characters that can attack behind human shields. So yeah, there could potentially be some nice team ups there. Now, we did see a kind of spontaneous cleanse happen, so we'll have to check out his weapon. It is called James's Robust Stop Sign. I do like the actual visuals and stuff like that of it. Jagged edge on the side, brutal. It has got 40% defense, 40% HP. Perfected Cleanse, remove 1 negative effect from this fighter at the start of every turn. That is what we saw. And then it has damage reduction debilitated. When being attacked by an enemy with a debilitating status effect, reduce that damage taken by 50%. It is worth noting that if he is on a team with Regina and he is attacked by someone with a debilitating status effect, it will be 100% reduction, and he'll take 0 damage from a basic attack or any multi-hit attacks, because this will stack with Regina's passive, just like Steele's does, just like Pizza Boy Glenn. So the team up there could potentially be good, but you might want to utilize his kit on other teams where potentially he could be more useful when it comes to what buffs he can give out, so on and so forth. But yeah, very, very nice weapon. This third slot is the same third slot, I believe, as Jesus 2K, where he would just cleanse every turn. That was problematic. It's very good for an Outlast character, because this means that he could go into Outlast with like Impair and have his Adrenaline Rush available, and then he'd remove his Impair. You know, he'd remove that Impair. It would only be 1, so if he was impaired and dazed, he could potentially remove the daze and not the Impair, but it is actually pretty useful when it comes to potentially getting parts of his kit off. As you saw, it was quite a surprise when I dazed him and he still did his signature move, and his signature move did a lot. Lots of cleanses, Guardian Shields were up. It was very useful for him, his team, and it was very bad for me when it comes to doing more damage, because I lost some attack buffs and some focus and some camouflage. So yep, the weapon's going to be just this nice little small amount of RNG, but it's 100% going to happen. Every single turn, there is going to be at least 1 negative effect removed, and that could be like a 1000% infection as well. So that's just a little look at Gold Mythic James, who is going to be coming to the game as an advanced token wall character. He does look like quite a nice, well-rounded character. It does really top off the kit with that massive stat boost, though. That's going to be very, very good, like I say, for quite a while, which is very useful. And I think he could be used on a number of different teams. I could see him being used on at least 2 or 3 either current usable teams or previously usable teams. So very good usability. There are some characters, even defense team characters, that need a bit more synergy when it comes to usability. James seems to be providing that for other characters, so that's actually pretty good. And also a return of a character that I think a lot of people kind of have reasonably fond memories of, just kind of memes when it comes to how he was as a character. Very powerful at the beginning of the S-Class era for sure, and it's nice to see him keep the stop sign in some sort of way. Do tell me what you think, though, of Gold Mythic James. What do you think of his kit? How do you think you're going to use him on a defense team? Do you like these passive upgrades that give stats? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, Keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.